Sarah Thompson, 28, has been estranged from her wealthy family for 5 years after they cut her off financially for refusing to follow their predetermined life path. Living modestly but independently in Chicago, she's built a successful career as a paralegal. When her younger brother's wedding forces a family reunion, her parents publicly humiliate her by announcing she's basically homeless and needs their charity. What they don't know is that Sarah has been secretly working on a major inheritance case involving their grandfather's contested will, a case that could expose dark family secrets and redistribute the Thompson family fortune. As the court date approaches, Sarah must decide between seeking revenge or finding a path to genuine reconciliation. The crystal chandelier cast dancing shadows across the mahogany dining table as I walked into my childhood home for the first time in 2 years. My name is Sarah Thompson, and at 28, I never thought I'd feel this small again in the house where I grew up. The familiar scent of my mother's expensive perfume mixed with the aroma of prime rib filled the air, but instead of comfort, it brought back memories I'd rather forget. "Sarah, darling." My mother, Victoria Thompson, glided toward me in a designer dress that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Her embrace was as cold as the December Chicago wind outside. "You look tired. Are you eating enough?" Before I could answer, my father appeared from his study, his navy suit impeccable as always. Senator Richard Thompson, yes, that Thompson, had built his political career on family values and traditional success stories. The irony wasn't lost on me. "So the prodigal daughter returns," he said, his voice carrying that familiar mix of disappointment and condescension. "I was beginning to think you'd forgotten where you came from." "Hard to forget," I replied, keeping my voice steady despite my racing heart. "Some memories stick whether you want them to or not." The dining room fell silent except for the tick of the grandfather clock, another family heirloom worth more than most people's cars. My younger brother Marcus looked uncomfortable in his tuxedo, clearly caught between loyalty to me and keeping peace for his rehearsal dinner. "Well," Mother said, clapping her hands together, "let's not dwell on the past. Marcus is getting married tomorrow to that lovely Emily from the Winchester family. Such a perfect match. Both families understand the importance of stability." The emphasis on stability was directed at me, of course. I'd committed the cardinal sin of walking away from the life they'd planned for me: law school at Harvard, marriage to a suitable boy from their social circle, a house in Lake Forest, and children who would carry on the Thompson legacy. Instead, I'd chosen independence. And in their world, independence meant failure. "Sarah," my father said, settling into his chair at the head of the table, "Marcus tells me you're still working at that little law firm downtown. Paralegal work, isn't it?" "Yes," I said simply, taking my seat, notably at the far end of the table from the family patriarch. "Such a shame," Mother sighed, pouring herself another glass of wine. "All that potential wasted. You could have been a real lawyer by now if you'd just listened to us." Marcus shifted uncomfortably. "Sarah's good at what she does. Her boss says—" "Her boss?" Father interrupted with a harsh laugh. "Sarah, you're 28 years old, living in that tiny apartment in— where is it again? Some questionable neighborhood, I'm sure. Working for someone else. No prospects for advancement, no husband, no children. Basically homeless by most people's standards." The words hit like a physical blow, even though I'd expected them. This was why I'd stayed away for 2 years. This was exactly why I'd dreaded coming back. "Richard," Mother said, though her tone held no real reproach, "that's a bit harsh." "Is it?" He turned to face me directly. "Sarah, I'm offering you one last chance. Come home. We'll pay for law school, the right law school this time. You can work at Harrison, Morrison & Associates with our family connections. We'll help you find a suitable husband from a good family. You can still have the life we planned for you." I felt the familiar rage building in my chest, the same anger that had driven me to pack my bags and leave 5 years ago. But now, sitting in this room where I'd been dismissed and belittled for so many years, I also felt something else, a quiet confidence they couldn't see. "And if I refuse?" I asked, my voice calmer than I felt. "Then you're on your own," Father said with finality. "No more family connections, no more emergency funds, no more help when your little experiment inevitably fails. You'll have made your choice." The silence stretched between us like a chasm. Marcus looked miserable, caught between his love for his sister and his need for family approval. Emily, his fiancée, seemed fascinated by the family drama, probably storing details for future gossip sessions with her society friends. What they didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I'd been working on something that would change everything. For the past 8 months, I'd been part of a legal team investigating a case that would shake the Thompson family foundation to its core. A case involving my grandfather's will, hidden assets, and some very interesting financial irregularities that certain family members had kept secret for years. But I wasn't ready to play that card yet. "You know what, Dad?" I said, standing slowly and placing my napkin on the table. "You're right about one thing. I have made my choice. And I'm more proud of who I've become than I ever was of the life you wanted to control." "Sarah, please," Marcus said quietly. "Don't leave. Not like this." I looked at my brother, the golden child who'd never had to fight for approval, never had to prove his worth, never had to choose between love and independence. "Marcus, I love you, but I can't keep pretending this is a family that actually supports each other. What do you think? Have you ever been in a situation where your family's expectations felt like a cage? How do you handle it when the people who should support you the most become your biggest critics?" If you're enjoying this story about family dynamics and hidden secrets, make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what happens next. Because tomorrow's wedding isn't just going to be a celebration. It's going to be the beginning of revelations that will change the Thompson family forever. As I walked toward the door, my phone buzzed with a text from my boss. "Sarah, the court date is confirmed. Monday morning, 9 a.m. Are you ready to proceed with the Thompson estate case?" I smiled for the first time all evening. They had no idea what was coming. The wedding ceremony was everything you'd expect from a Thompson family event: elegant, expensive, and completely orchestrated for maximum social impact. I sat in the back pew of St. James Episcopal Church, watching my brother Marcus marry Emily Winchester, while 300 of Chicago's elite filled the Gothic sanctuary. My mother had outdone herself with the decorations. White roses and baby's breath adorned every surface, and the string quartet played classical pieces that probably cost more than most people's annual salaries. But despite the beauty surrounding us, I couldn't shake the tension from last night's dinner conversation. "You clean up nice for someone who's basically homeless," came a voice beside me. I turned to see my cousin Jake sliding into the pew, his trademark smirk firmly in place. Jake Thompson was 2 years younger than me and had always been the family rebel, until I claimed that title by leaving. "Thanks, I think," I whispered back, smoothing my navy dress. I'd bought it specifically for today, wanting to look successful without being flashy. "Shouldn't you be up front with the other golden children?" "Probably, but the view's better back here. Plus, I wanted to talk to you about something." His expression grew serious. "I heard about last night. News travels fast in this family. Sarah, there's something you need to know." Jake glanced around to make sure no one was listening. "Uncle Richard has been asking questions about Grandpa Thomas's will, specifically about that trust fund he set up for you before he died." My blood ran cold. The trust fund, the one I'd supposedly forfeited when I left the family, the one that was central to the case I'd been working on for months. "What kind of questions?" I whispered as the organ music swelled. "The kind that suggest he's worried about something. Sarah, I think he—" "Dearly beloved," the minister's voice boomed across the sanctuary, cutting off our conversation. "We are gathered here today to witness the union of Marcus Thompson and Emily Winchester." I tried to focus on the ceremony, watching my little brother promise to love and honor his bride. Marcus looked genuinely happy, and for a moment I felt a pang of sadness that my relationship with the family meant I'd never be able to share moments like this without tension. But Jake's words kept echoing in my mind. Uncle Richard, my father, asking questions about Grandpa's will. The timing couldn't be coincidental. After the ceremony, the reception was held at the Drake Hotel, where the Thompson family had celebrated every major milestone for the past 50 years. I found myself at a table with distant relatives and family friends, making polite conversation while scanning the room for my parents. "Sarah Thompson," a familiar voice made me turn. "I thought that was you." Margaret Collins, one of Chicago's most prominent estate attorneys, was approaching with a warm smile. I'd worked with her firm on several cases, and she'd become something of a mentor to me. "Ms. Collins, what a surprise," I said, standing to greet her. "Please call me Margaret." "You look lovely, dear. I had no idea you were related to the Thompsons." Her eyes sparkled with curiosity. "Small world, isn't it? You could say that," I replied carefully. "Actually, this is quite fortuitous. I've been meaning to call your office. We have a rather complex estate case that could use your particular expertise with historical document research." Before I could respond, my father appeared at my elbow, his politician's smile perfectly in place. "Margaret Collins," he said smoothly, extending his hand. "Senator Richard Thompson, I don't believe we've been formally introduced, though I certainly know your reputation." "Senator Thompson," Margaret replied, shaking his hand. "Your daughter has been invaluable to our firm. Such attention to detail, such dedication to uncovering the truth in complex legal matters." I watched my father's expression carefully. Did he know about the case I'd been working on? About the inconsistencies we'd found in grandfather's will documentation? "Yes, well," father said, his smile tightening slightly. "Sarah has always been thorough. Perhaps too thorough for her own good sometimes." "Thoroughness is precisely what we need in estate law," Margaret continued. "In fact, Sarah's work on historical wills has been extraordinary. She has a gift for finding discrepancies that others miss." The color seemed to drain from my father's face, though he maintained his composure. "Discrepancies? Oh yes, it's fascinating, really. You'd be amazed how often we find that official documents don't match the original intentions of the deceased. Sometimes due to clerical errors, sometimes due to other factors." I felt my phone buzz and glanced down at the screen. A text from my boss. "Emergency. New evidence in the Thompson case. Need you in the office first thing Monday." My heart started racing. New evidence? What could they have found? "Excuse me," I said to Margaret and my father. "I need to step outside for a moment." I made my way through the crowd of celebrating guests, past the ice sculpture and the champagne fountain, to the hotel's ornate lobby. My hands were shaking as I called my boss back. "David, it's Sarah. What's the emergency?" "Sarah, we just received a call from the probate court. Someone has filed a motion to expedite the Thompson estate case. They want a hearing this Monday." "Who filed the motion?" "That's the interesting part. It was filed by someone claiming to represent the true heirs of Thomas Thompson's estate." "Sarah, I think someone else knows about the irregularities we found." My mind was spinning. True heirs? But according to all the documentation I'd seen, my father and his siblings were the only heirs to my grandfather's estate. "David, there's something I need to tell you. I should have mentioned this earlier, but Sarah? Are you all right?" Jake had appeared beside me, concern written across his face. "I have to go," I told David. "I'll be in early Monday morning." I hung up and turned to my cousin. "Jake, you said Uncle Richard has been asking questions about Grandpa's will. What exactly has he been trying to find out?" "Sarah, we can't talk about this here. Too many ears." He glanced around the lobby nervously. "But I think you're in danger." "Real danger?" "Meet me tomorrow night at Millennium Park by the Bean, 9 o'clock. "And Sarah?" "Don't trust anyone in the family right now." "Not anyone." Before I could ask what he meant, he was gone, disappearing back into the reception crowd. I stood there in the Drake Hotel lobby, surrounded by the sounds of my brother's wedding celebration, and felt completely alone. In less than 48 hours, I'd gone from being the family disappointment to potentially being involved in something much more serious than hurt feelings and broken relationships. Have you ever discovered that your family was hiding something major from you? How do you handle it when you realize the people you thought you knew might not be who they seem? Make sure to subscribe to the channel to see how this unfolds, because what I discovered on Monday morning would expose secrets that the Thompson family had been hiding for decades. As I walked back into the reception, I caught my father watching me from across the room. For the first time in my life, when our eyes met, I saw something I'd never seen before: fear. And I was about to find out why. Monday morning arrived gray and cold, matching my mood as I sat in the Cook County Courthouse waiting for the hearing that would either vindicate everything I'd suspected or destroy what remained of my relationship with my family forever. The courthouse hallway buzzed with activity, lawyers in expensive suits hurrying between courtrooms, families dealing with custody disputes, and people like me who were about to confront truths they'd rather not face. Sarah, David Morris, and my boss approached with a thick manila folder. "Are you sure you're ready for this? Once we walk into that courtroom, there's no going back." I nodded, smoothing my black suit, the same one I'd worn to countless depositions, but never one that would potentially destroy my own family. "I'm ready. What did you find in the new evidence?" David's expression was grim. "A second will. Hidden in a safety deposit box your grandfather opened 3 months before his death. The bank only discovered it last week when they were auditing unclaimed assets." My hands went cold. "What does it say?" "It changes everything, Sarah. According to this document, Your grandfather left specific instructions that his estate should be distributed equally among all his grandchildren, not just passed down through his sons as the current will states. But there's more. He opened the folder and showed me photocopies of documents. Your grandfather suspected someone in the family was planning to contest his wishes. He left detailed instructions with his attorney, a lawyer named Harrison Webb who died 5 years ago. Webb was supposed to ensure the real will was filed, but somehow the fake one ended up in probate instead. Fake? The word came out as a whisper. The will that's been governing your grandfather's estate for the past 8 years appears to have been altered. Key clauses removed, signatures possibly forged. Sarah, if this is proven in court, it means millions of dollars have been distributed incorrectly. I thought about the trust fund Jake had mentioned, the one my father claimed I'd forfeited. According to the real will, that money should have been mine regardless of my family's approval. There's something else, David continued. We've been contacted by an investigator hired by your grandfather's former attorney's estate. Apparently, Webb left behind files that suggest he was pressured to suppress the real will. Pressured by whom? Before David could answer, I saw my father striding down the courthouse hallway with his own legal team, 3 lawyers from Chicago's most prestigious firm. Behind them walked my mother and, surprisingly, my Uncle James, my father's younger brother. Sarah? My father stopped when he saw me, his face a mask of controlled anger. What are you doing here? I could ask you the same thing. Dad. I'm here to protect this family from a frivolous lawsuit filed by opportunists trying to profit from your grandfather's death. His voice carried the authority he used in Senate hearings, but I could see uncertainty in his eyes. My Uncle James stepped forward. Sarah, you need to understand something. Your grandfather was suffering from dementia in his final months. Any documents found now are likely the result of his confusion, not his true intentions. Funny, I said, finding my voice stronger than I'd expected. I spent time with Grandpa Thomas right up until his death. His mind was sharp as ever. In fact, he specifically told me to watch out for people who might try to cheat me out of my inheritance. The color drained from both men's faces. Sarah, please, my mother said, stepping between us. Let's discuss this privately. As a family. The time for private family discussions ended when you declared me basically homeless at Marcus's rehearsal dinner, I replied. When you offered me charity while sitting on money that was rightfully mine to begin with. Thompson family case, the bailiff called from the courtroom door. Please enter for preliminary hearing. As we filed into the courtroom, I noticed Jake sitting in the back row. He caught my eye and nodded slightly, moral support that meant more than I could express. Judge Patricia Morrison, no relation to my boss, was a stern woman in her 60s known for cutting through legal nonsense with surgical precision. This is a preliminary hearing regarding the estate of Thomas Richard Thompson, deceased, she began. I understand there are questions about the validity of documents currently governing the estate distribution. David stood. Your Honor, we represent Sarah Thompson, granddaughter of the deceased. We have evidence that the will currently in probate may not reflect Thomas Thompson's true final wishes. My father's lead attorney, a silver-haired man named Charles Harrison, rose from his table. Your Honor, this is clearly a desperate attempt by an estranged family member to claim inheritance she has no right to. Miss Thompson left the family 5 years ago, abandoning all claims to family support. Actually, Judge Morrison said, reviewing the documents before her, that's not how inheritance law works, counselor. Family relationships don't determine legal inheritance rights. Valid wills do. David presented the newly discovered will, along with the evidence of alterations to the original probate document. I watched my father's face as each piece of evidence was introduced. The confident politician's mask was cracking, revealing something I'd never seen before: genuine fear. Your Honor, David continued, we also have testimony from Mr. Harrison Webb's former legal secretary, who is prepared to swear that she witnessed Mr. Webb expressing concerns about pressure from family members to suppress certain documents. Charles Harrison objected, but Judge Morrison silenced him with a look. Mr. Thompson, the judge addressed my father directly, did you have any conversations with your father's attorney about modifying his will or the distribution of his estate? I watched my father struggle with the question. In that moment, I realized he was about to choose between honesty and self-preservation. Your Honor, I may have discussed my concerns about certain family members' readiness to handle inheritance responsibly. Which family members specifically? My daughter Sarah had made choices that my father found disappointing. I simply wanted to ensure his legacy was protected. The courtroom was silent except for the court reporters typing. Judge Morrison looked at the evidence, then at me. Miss Thompson, do you understand what you're alleging here? You're essentially accusing your own family of document fraud and inheritance theft. I stood, my legs shaking but my voice clear. Your Honor, I'm alleging that my grandfather's final wishes were not honored. Whether that was due to mistake or deliberate action, I think the evidence should speak for itself. Indeed it should, Judge Morrison said. I'm ordering a full forensic examination of both wills, including handwriting analysis and document authenticity testing. In the meantime, I'm freezing all assets from the Thomas Thompson estate until we can determine which document represents his true final testament. The gavel came down with finality. As we filed out of the courtroom, my father grabbed my arm. Sarah, you have no idea what you've just done. This will destroy our family. I looked into his eyes, the eyes of the man who'd raised me, taught me to ride a bike, helped me with homework, and felt my heart breaking. No, Dad, I said quietly. Lying destroyed our family. I'm just trying to find the truth. 3 weeks later, the forensic analysis confirmed what we'd suspected. The will and probate had been altered, signatures forged, and entire sections removed. My grandfather had indeed intended for his grandchildren to inherit equally, regardless of their family standing. But the money wasn't what mattered most to me. What mattered was finally understanding why I'd always felt like I didn't belong in my own family. It wasn't because I was difficult or ungrateful. It was because some family members had been planning to disinherit me from the beginning. Have you ever had to choose between family loyalty and doing what's right? Sometimes the hardest battles are the ones we fight with the people we love most. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to the channel and share your own experiences in the comments. Sometimes standing up for ourselves means standing against the people who should have protected us. The Thompson family fortune was redistributed according to my grandfather's true wishes. My father faced legal consequences for document fraud, though he avoided jail time in exchange for full restitution and resignation from the Senate. But the real victory wasn't financial. It was finally understanding that my worth wasn't determined by my family's approval, and that sometimes the greatest act of love is refusing to let people you care about continue hurting you. I kept the paralegal job I loved, bought a house in a neighborhood that felt like home, and learned that sometimes being basically homeless in your family's eyes means you're finally free to build the life you were meant to live.